My name is Albert, and welcome to Unknown Facts. We've all had them. Neighbors. Sometimes they're great. They bring you cookies. They watch your dog. But sometimes things go wrong. A little disagreement over a fence, a complaint about noise, and suddenly you're in a silent war. A battle fought over property lines and with passive-aggressive post-it notes. Today, we're diving deep into that world. We're looking at stories where neighborly disputes didn't just simmer, they exploded. These are tales of revenge so wild, so unbelievable, you'll be checking your own Ring camera. So buckle up, folks. This is going to be a bumpy ride. And hey, if you like stories that make you say, no they didn't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like. You won't want to miss what's coming. We're talking about more than just loud music here. Our first story is about a guy named Frank. Frank loved his lawn. I mean, he loved it. We're talking PGA Tour level grass. He had a schedule, he had special fertilizer. His neighbor Gary was the opposite. Gary's lawn was, let's call it natural. This drove Frank insane. The final straw? Gary started parking his old leaky pickup truck right on the edge of his property, with two wheels on his natural lawn, dripping oil near Frank's precious green carpet. Frank saw this as a declaration of war. So, Frank decided to fight back, but not with anger. Oh no, with water. Frank had a state-of-the-art Wi-Fi-enabled sprinkler system. He spent an entire evening recalibrating the sprinkler heads. Not all of them, just one. The one closest to Gary's leaky truck. The next morning, Gary woke up to find the driver's side of his truck soaked. Not just wet, soaked. But then Gary made a mistake. He yelled at Frank. He threatened him. So Frank escalated. He didn't just turn on the one sprinkler, he turned them all on. At 2 a.m., the sprinkler by Gary's bedroom window would go on for 30 seconds. This went on for a week. Gary was a wreck. He finally moved the truck. He parked it on the street. And just like that, the nightly water symphony stopped. Frank had won. Next up, let's talk about Brenda and Tom. They lived in a townhouse complex, you know, where you're right on top of each other. Brenda was a stickler for rules, especially trash rules. The bins had to be out no earlier than 6 p.m. the night before pickup. Tom was a bit more relaxed. He'd leave his bins out for days, not just empty either. Brenda had enough. So, one Tuesday after the garbage trucks had come and gone, she waited until after dark, and she placed them directly behind his car, like right up against the bumper. He wouldn't be able to back out without getting out and moving them. The next morning, Brenda sat by her window with a cup of coffee, waiting for the show. Right on cue, at 7:30 a.m., she heard Tom's car start. Then she heard the gentle thunk as his car bumped into the bins. The next week, Tom forgot again, so Brenda did it again. This time, she put a rock in each bin to give them a little more weight. This became a weekly ritual, the Great Wall of Garbage Bins. Every trash day, if Tom forgot, his exit would be blocked. He knew it was Brenda. She knew he knew, but not a word was ever exchanged between them. It was a silent, stinky war. Finally, after about 2 months of this, Tom started bringing his bins in on time, every single week, without fail. This story is about two women, Carol and Susan, who shared an apartment building wall. The walls were paper thin, but the worst part? Susan had taken up learning the violin at all hours, and she was not good. It sounded like a cat being put through a wood chipper. Carol asked her nicely to practice during reasonable hours. Susan basically told her to buy earplugs. She was at her wit's end. She needed revenge, and she found it in the form of food delivery apps. Carol's plan was brilliant and devious. She knew Susan was a vegan and very health conscious. So one Friday night, Carol ordered the largest, greasiest, meatiest pizza she could find. Around 10 p.m., just as the violin practice was in full swing, there was a knock on Susan's door. The violin stopped. She heard a confused Susan arguing with a delivery driver. "I didn't order this. I'm vegan." It was music to Carol's ears, but Carol was just getting started. The next night, she did it again. Some nights it was a dozen donuts. Other nights it was a family-sized bucket of fried chicken. She put a sign on her door that said, "I am not ordering food. Please do not knock." After 2 solid weeks of the phantom food deliveries, the violin music stopped. Just silence. Glorious, beautiful silence. Get ready for this one. So, it's about a dispute over a parking spot. A man we'll call Marcus had a designated spot right in front of his house. It was his. But his new neighbor, a young guy named Kevin, didn't seem to care. Kevin would constantly park his little hatchback in Marcus's spot. Marcus was a construction worker. One day, Marcus came home from a long day at work, and there it was. This was the last time. Marcus just snapped. He didn't call a tow truck. He didn't slash the tires. He had a much more permanent solution in mind. A wicked idea formed in his mind. He pulled his truck up, blocking Kevin's car in. And then he got to work. He mixed the concrete, batch after batch, and he started building a form around Kevin's car. When he was done, he had created a massive, immovable concrete block with a car inside it. He entombed the car, a modern art installation dedicated to terrible parking. The next morning, the whole neighborhood was outside, staring. Kevin came out and his jaw dropped. His car was a monument, a tombstone. Of course, the police were called. Marcus calmly admitted what he did. He had to pay a huge fine and the cost of removing the car sculpture. But when reporters asked him if he regretted it, he just smiled and said, "Nope, he's not parking in my spot anymore, is he?" Let's head back to the suburbs for this one. Meet Sarah and Bill. They were lawn rivals, but with a twist. Both had immaculate lawns. The feud started when Bill's dog started using Sarah's prize-winning rose bushes as its personal bathroom. Sarah decided to escalate. She bought several large containers of non-toxic, washable paint in the most hideous neon colors she could find. One night, armed with a garden sprayer, she crept over to Bill's perfect lawn. In giant 3-foot-tall letters of neon pink paint, she wrote, "My lawn is better." Bill was furious. So that night, Bill retaliated. He just drew dozens of crude, lopsided smiley faces all over her perfect grass. This went on for a week. It became a Technicolor turf war. Their once beautiful lawns looked like a kindergarten art project gone horribly wrong. Finally, they called a truce. They actually ended up helping each other wash the paint out and even shared a laugh about how ridiculous it had all become. The dog, by the way, got a new leash. This next story is about a property line dispute. We have two neighbors, Mr. Harrison and Mr. Chen. Then, Mr. Harrison decided to build a new fence, and the survey showed that the old fence was off by about 6 inches. Mr. Harrison went to a home improvement store. He bought the most expensive sod, tiny dollhouse-sized white picket fencing, and even a miniature "Keep Off the Grass" sign. He had created a 6-inch-wide, 50-foot-long miniature yard. It was the most passive-aggressive landscaping project in history. Mr. Harrison would spend his weekends meticulously caring for his tiny yard. He'd trim the grass with scissors. He'd polish the tiny fence. He had won the war over the 6 inches of land. But in doing so, he had created a permanent daily reminder of the feud for the entire neighborhood to see, a monument to pettiness. Our final story is the ultimate tale of revenge. It involves a couple, the Millers, and their nightmare neighbor, Mr. Gable. Mr. Gable was a serial complainer. The final straw came when Mr. Gable reported them to the city for having a small, inflatable kiddie pool in their backyard, claiming it was an unpermitted structure. They noticed a "for sale" sign go up in Mr. Gable's front yard. A light bulb went off. This was their chance for the perfect revenge. Mrs. Miller was pretty good with graphic design. She designed a professional-looking flyer. It read, "Huge blowout open house, everything must go, free BBQ and beer." On Thursday night, under the cover of darkness, the Millers went all over town. They put the flyers everywhere. They made it look completely legitimate. Saturday rolled around. At noon, the first car pulled up. Then another, and another. Within 30 minutes, Mr. Gable's quiet street was a parking lot. Mr. Gable came out onto his porch in a bathrobe, completely bewildered. People were walking on his lawn, peering in his windows, and asking where the hot dogs were. It was pure, unadulterated chaos. The police had to come to disperse the crowd. It was the talk of the town for weeks. The Millers never admitted to it, but they watched the whole thing unfold with glee, a truly epic revenge. So there you have it. 7 stories of neighborly disputes that went off the rails, from sprinklers and garbage cans to concrete and phantom pizzas. It's funny in a way to hear about these extreme acts of revenge. But when you stop and think about it, these stories show a darker side of human nature. They show how easily communication can break down, how quickly a small annoyance can fester and grow into an obsession, Each of these stories started with a problem that probably could have been solved with a simple, respectful conversation. But ego got in the way. They got their revenge, yes. But what did it really accomplish? In the end, they still had to live with the consequences. The next time a neighbor annoys you, maybe take a deep breath before you start plotting your revenge. Maybe a conversation is worth a try, because as we've seen today, once you start down the path of retaliation, it can lead to some very strange and very public places. The war next door is one that nobody ever truly wins. Thanks for watching.